Hello everyone and welcome to another day. I wanted to talk about the deception of Yahweh, and the price of salvation. Okay, but before we do that, over the course of the night, I had to spend time, you understand, asking the Spirit a few questions, and I'm like, why did you have me put out that request and all of that? And it says to teach me a valuable lesson. And I'm like, what's the lesson? And then it reminds me of a dream I had that was in 2004. That was 20 years ago now. And in that dream, I walked into a restaurant, and as soon as I sat down, to my left, not far from me, but not very close also, to my left were seated an older couple, a man and his wife, and then the man motions to me, signals to me to come, So I walked over to them, and then when I got there, he brought out money, you know, and then he dropped it on the floor, and then he said to me, pick this money and then go and place an order for us and all that. So I looked at him, and I remember the dream is still fresh in my mind now. I looked at him and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So while I was standing there, he said, wait, hold on. So he called the waiter that was passing by, and then the waiter came, and then he told the waiter, pick this money and, go and place an order for us. So the waiter, bent down, got the money, and went to place the order. And then the man looked up at me because I was still standing beside them. And then he looked up at me and then he said, do you see the power of money? And I said, what is it? Then he said, the words are fresh in my mind. He said, it makes men subject to you. That's what he said, and I woke up from that dream. So the Spirit reminded me of that dream. And then, when I remembered it, and then when I remembered it, and then it says, now, the point is this: let no one take your boast away. In other words, do not be like others, okay? Be different. Why? Because salvation is free. That's the point. But it has a price. So let's talk about the price of salvation, okay, and the deception of Yahweh. Okay, so anyway, that's that. That was the summary of what happened over the night, So anyway, when I say the price of salvation, Jesus said, and in my experience and my observation, I'll tell you the conclusion I arrived at. Jesus said, anyone who is not willing, okay, to leave father, mother, wife, children, brothers, sisters, he says anyone who's not willing to leave all that and follow him is not fit to be his disciple. That's what Jesus said. But then I have realized that that's not applicable to everybody. That's the truth of the matter. Even though he said anyone who's not willing. Why am I saying that? I'll tell you why. For those who teach the word, the price varies. Even amongst those who teach the word, the cost of their salvation, what they have to sacrifice or give up, you understand, for the word of God that is given to them, it varies amongst that. And then for those who hear the words, you understand, I think that their test is actually much lower. That's the truth of the matter. Why am I saying that? I'll share this with you guys. And I believe I've said many times that, there were times in my life when Yahweh and his people would come to me and say, oh, leave this Jesus and we will continue to give you money. I've said that many times, in most of the videos, when I first started making these videos. Now, I'll tell you guys my own experience when it comes to the price. Okay, the price, like I've said many times, I said I know the price that I've had to pay, for the words that I speak. And it boils down to a few things. Between the year 2012 and 2013, okay, I was in a space where Yahweh and his angels, they were just harassing me. That's the word. And back then, like what I know now, I didn't have a very good understanding back then. So I was struggling, to get through with them, coming to me. Now they can't even try anyway, because they know if they come to me now, I'll send them to the pit. That's the truth, period. But back then I didn't know that we were capable of that kind of power. You know, I mean, you are here and then you command the spirit to go into the lake of fire, and they don't have a choice. They are compelled to go. Why? Because that's the authority that we have in the name of Jesus, you know, and as children of God. You know, but then I didn't know that back then. And I said something also in one of the videos that I almost took their offer. If not, and if I did that, God forbid, I would have been dead by now anyway. I know that. And I said, I recall I did say, Jesus, that's the only time I've ever seen Jesus, you know, and it's just that one time. And this was actually in 2013, you know, and that was when I was going to make that fatal decision, you know. And it was bad. When I say it was bad, let me just say it anyway. You know, it was so bad that my partner at the time, okay, because I was married then, my partner at the time, and I was sharing these things with her, and I was telling her, this is what's happening to me, you know. These spirits keep coming to me and they're asking me to leave Jesus, and they will continue to give me money and blah, 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 you know, because they were telling me, you know, back then that, oh, they were the ones, you know, making sure that, oh, I had too much money and all of that. I was much younger. I mean, this is like 11 years ago, you know. So 11 years of experience I've gained, you know, from that time. You know, and then, you know, God is my witness, you understand? And the Spirit with me is my witness, and Jesus is also my witness on what I want to say, no lies. You know, and I kept telling her these things. Even my mother, I told my mom and siblings and all of that. But I kept telling my partner these things, and she told me something, you know, which I can never forget. She said, if that is what you have to do, then do it. That's what she told me. She said, then you better leave this Jesus and follow them. You know, and it was after that that I almost took that decision, you know. But I told you, the night I was going to take that decision, Yahweh's people had just come and they had just left. I've narrated this in one of the videos, and I woke up at 3 a.m., you know, and I paced around the room, you know. I paced, you know, and I was speaking to myself, and I'm saying, Jesus, you're not even talking to me, blah, 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 you know, and all of that. And then as soon as because my mind, I was trying to make up my mind, that was the pacing I was doing, you know, and I was just going to do that. As soon as I hit the bed, immediately I saw the Spirit of Jesus appeared at my feet. His hand was like this, and then he said something to me. These were his words: if I can test you, can't I also give you money? And I jumped up from the bed, you know, and I started praying. I've said this in one of the videos. Now, why am I saying this? I'm talking about the price of salvation right now. At that point, I knew that I could not stay with this woman. It was either I was going to stay with her and leave Jesus and accept the offer from these spirits, or I was going to have to walk away, you know, and hold my salvation and stand by faith. That was what, this is just one price that I had to pay. You understand? And I had to leave. Why? Because I had to keep my salvation. And well, if I'd done what she had suggested, I wouldn't be here saying these words anyway. I wouldn't have any rights to say the words I'm saying right now. You know, so that's just one experience. That's just one price of this salvation that I've had to, you know, experience, you know, and I've had to keep. I had to walk away. Why? Because as Jesus warned me, if I can test you, can't I also give you money? You understand? I had to jump up and I had to put myself right. Because like I said, see, there are many preachers in the world today, and for me personally, I know that not many of them have had to pay that kind of price. That's the truth. Not many of them have had to pay that kind. Their own tests are different. You know, it varies for every one of us. You know, and also it varies to the degree to which you've been called. That's the truth. The degree to which we communicate spiritual truths, okay, is actually a reflection of the degree to which we've been called, the depth of knowledge or the depth of wisdom to which we have been called to. That's the truth. So for me, I know what I'm saying. Why? Because the words that we speak, they are not our words, number one. You know, and like I did say in the last video, we're in the last days. You understand? The mystery of God is being fully revealed. And when he says the mystery, everything that is hidden, okay, from men about God is being revealed. And when I look in the world today and then I listen to preachers, I start to understand something, and then I ask myself a question, but why did you have to get me to be the one to bring this message out there? It's written in the book that, oh, I am God alone and there is no other God, right? That's Yahweh speaking. And then we find preachers out there, they keep preaching the same thing. Oh, Yahweh is the only God, and there's no other God. But they still read in the same books, in the same Bible, they still read where it is written that there is El Elyon, right? The God Most High, the Most High God, or the highest God. So, but then they cannot sit down to understand the disparity between you sitting down and saying that, oh, there is only one God and there is no other God, and yet in the same breath they say, oh, the Most High God, or the priest of the Most High God. They cannot sit down to understand that. That's what it amuses me. That's why I'm smiling. Don't mind me. I look at it and I'm like, can't these people see? Can't they understand what is going on? I mean, in the same breath, you say, oh, you quote Yahweh, who says he's the only God, and in the same breath, you say that there is a God is the Most High God. Does it make sense? It doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah. So that's why there are people like us who are now explaining this thing, that God is a species, just as man is a species. That's the fact. God is not one individual. God is a race of people, a superior race compared to mankind. That is it, And then it's beautiful. It just amuses me. That's true. When you look in the world today and you listen to people out there, many people are going to go to hell. That's true. Not because they wanted to, but because they've been misled. First of all, they keep them under Moses' law, okay? They threaten them with so many things. If you don't pay your tithes, you're going to go to hell. I've actually heard a preacher say this, and this is a preacher of a very huge church globally, okay, with a huge following globally. And I've actually heard the man say that you don't pay your tithes, you're going to go to hell, and all of that. They keep saying all of this rubbish, and then I sit down and I ask myself, and then I'm like, the problem or the fault is that we do not study. That's why Paul writes to Timothy, he says, study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman that needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And another thing which I've actually realized, Jesus said something. He said, no one pours new wine into old wine bottles. You cannot pour new wine into old wine bottles. He says, else the bottle will burst and the wine will be wasted. He says, rather you pour new wine into new wine bottles. He says, and both are preserved. What does that mean? These teachings that we are putting out there, it's new wine, right? You can only pour it into new wine bottles. But what do I mean by that? It is the Spirit of God in you, okay, that is actually going to be able to help you receive the word that we speak. Jesus said, no one can come to me except the Father draws him to me. That's the truth. In the same way, no one can really understand what we are saying unless the Spirit makes them understand it. That's the truth. I'll tell you guys something. See, I try to keep the comment section sanitized, okay? For most of us here on the channel, I don't need to approve it because I made it so for few of us, so whatever comments they make, it goes free. But I try to keep it sanitized in that I need to approve most other people before their comments come, because I see a lot of rubbish there, okay, that comes, and these are from Yahweh worshippers, from Yahweh lovers. I've even been insulted, for the words that I say, but I don't really care. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. What's my business? I don't care. And then I say to myself, well, good thing I'm in charge. So I'm not going to let that comment come out there, My point is that, see, these people cannot understand what we are saying. They cannot receive. They are like old bottles. And then the word we are speaking is like new wine. They cannot take it. The bottle will break. The bottle will burst. That's the truth. So, especially older people, okay? Why am I saying that? Because they've been indoctrinated. So it's difficult for them to come to accept the truth when you hear it. But the truth, you can't fight against the truth. You cannot do that, because what it is written, and we are not making things up. It is written. What does it say in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26? It says, let us make man. Who are the us? One foolish preacher will come and say it's the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. I thank God that I left, He took me out of all of those, out of all of that rubbish. Because yes, I was taught that kind of thing too. So when He says, let us make man, look at the book from a cosmopolitan view. Look at the book of Revelation. It says that there are 24 older people seated around the throne of God. These are gods also, who in appearance are older than the Father that's seated on the throne. Look at the book also. It tells you that Melchizedek is the priest of the Most High God. And Melchizedek is not even his name. It's the title that he holds. That's the truth. That's what it is. And he is the king of a city called Salem in heaven. Our minds have been closed there such that we, anyway, it's Yahweh's fault, because Yahweh closed our minds. He put a yoke on our minds. He put a limit on the level to which we can think. But that's why we have the Spirit of God, and that's why we have the mind of Christ. It says God has given us a spirit that we may know the things that have been freely given to us by God. That's in 1 Corinthians chapter 2. You understand? So when we speak these things, like I keep saying, I said I know the price that I've paid for the words that I speak today. I've paid a lot of prices. I'm telling, trust me, I know what I'm saying. But I thank God for the Spirit of truth that is with us, because He leads us. He leads us in the path of righteousness. I'm telling you the truth, man. It's beautiful. So what am I trying to say? When I look into the world today, I see preachers, you understand. I listen to a lot of preachers. I don't go to church anyway, because there's no point. There's nothing they're going to teach me. That's the truth. Because I study for myself and I know the truth. So when I tell you that there is a ghost that's with you, yes, there is a ghost with you. You can read it there. It is written. Jesus says, when he, the Spirit of truth comes, He says, whom I will send to you. He says, the Spirit who proceeds from the Father. He says, He will lead you into all truth. He says, the world cannot receive Him, for it neither sees Him nor knows Him. He says, but you know Him, for He shall be with you and in you. So when I tell you that there is a ghost that is with you, and there is a ghost that is in you, take my word for it. It is what it is. It's not going to change. There is a ghost in us, and there is a ghost with us. And it is because of the presence of this ghost. Let me read something. I just remembered something. Let me read something from the book of Isaiah, chapter 45. I'll just read it from verse 11. It says, this is what the Lord says, the Holy One of Israel and its Maker. It says, concerning things to come. I'll say this and then I'll tell you something. It says, concerning things to come. It says, do you question me about my children, or give me orders about the work of my hands? Now, what's he saying here? Concerning things to come. This word that is written here is not speaking to mankind. No. This word is speaking here. He's speaking it to Yahweh and the other spirits. People don't understand something. See, most of what is written in the books, the Father was revealing His mind to the spirits on earth through men. You guys don't understand. Let me read something from the book of Ephesians. Maybe that will help you understand. Then we can come back here. Let me just read something from the book of Ephesians, because I don't want to just speak offhand. I want you guys to understand it so that you can also go and read it for yourselves. Where are you? Okay. Yeah. Ephesians, let me read. Where are you? God plays blah, 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 blah. No, I think it's in chapter 2. Can be in chapter 1. Where are you? Calm down. Okay, good. It's in chapter 3. Ephesians chapter 3. It says, let me read from verse 7. It says, I became a servant of this gospel by the grace, by God's I became a servant of this gospel by the gift of God's grace given to me through the working of His power. It says, although I am less than the least of all God's people. It says, this grace was given to me to preach to the Gentiles, listen, the unsearchable riches of Christ. Now, this is where I'm going. It says, and to make plain to everyone the administration of this mystery, which for ages past was kept hidden in God who created all things. Then this is where I'm going to. With regards to Isaiah 45, which we read. He says his intent, God's intent was that now, in this time, through the church, through the church, make notes, through the church, the manifold wisdom of God, the many-sided wisdom of God should be made known. Listen, should be made known to the rulers and authorities in the heavenly realms. What is he saying? He's saying that the manifold wisdom of God, the many-sided wisdom of God should be made known to the spirits through us. In other words, we are teaching the spirits a lesson. That's what Paul that's what it means when he says there that the many-sided wisdom of God should be made known to the rulers and authorities in the heavenly realms, to the spirits. I love Paul, yeah, but even though sometimes I disagree with some things that he says, but I love Paul because he had a good understanding of it. The only problem was that he was a devoted Pharisee prior to becoming, so there were still so many influences from, Moses that he still put in, but it doesn't matter. We know the truth. So when it says here, so this is God now speaking to the spirits, but it is Isaiah that the word came to, right? Isaiah said, but the spirits understand what is written. But most of us, when we read this thing, that it says concerning things to come, this is concerning things to come, the time that the Christ would come and then people will start becoming children of God. Okay? It says concerning things to come, do you question me about my children or give me orders about the work of my hands? So that should tell you that at some point in time, Yahweh questioned the Father, okay, about the children that he was going to have, because we were going to rule over them, the spirits. We were going to rule over them. And of course, they didn't want it, because why? They look at man. Man is made from the dust of the earth. How can this thing, rule over us? They can stand in front of us and we will not even have any idea. They can look in your face and yet you have no idea that there is a ghost in front of you. But then the Father is saying, are you questioning me, okay, about my children, or are you going to give me orders about the work of my hands? So now I'm speaking about the deception of Yahweh, okay? So when we talk about Yahweh and his deception, you see the Father has asked him even before Jesus came, concerning things that are to come, concerning the future, are you questioning me about my own children or the work of are you going to give me orders about the work of my hands? You understand? So what am I trying to say? It's beautiful. See, we are teaching the spirits a lesson. That's why we can command the spirit. I tell you, if you command the spirit to kneel down, it will kneel down. If you tell that spirit to go into the lake of fire, it is compelled to go there. Why? Because we have the power of the Father. And we are priests after the order of the God Melchizedek. Like I keep saying, see, this gospel, don't worry, you guys will see what's going to happen. Just wait. This gospel, we will keep preaching it. Most of the Yahweh lovers and the Yahweh worshippers, they are the ones who try to make so many dirty and useless bad comments, but I don't even approve them, so I don't care. As soon as I read it, I see, I just delete. That's the truth. Because we don't need that kind of environment. We don't need such people around us. Yeah, so it's not a free-for-all that you just type whatever you want to type and it goes. No. But there are, of course, like I said, there are those that I've approved that anytime they say a word, it goes. Yeah, but I just still have to put a restriction so that we keep it sanitized. We are looking for, like I've said, we are looking for our own clan, our own people. We're not looking for everybody. No, we're not looking for it. Like I keep saying, if you want to live by Yahweh and Yahweh's law and Moses, do that. But don't bother us. We don't care. Yeah, that's you. Jesus is our high priest. Like I keep saying, our high priest is a ghost. Let's read something. Wait. Let's read something from the book of Hebrews, Hebrews chapter 8. It's beautiful. The gospel is just beautiful, I'll tell you. See what it says. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 1. It says the point of what we are saying, the summary of everything we are saying is this. We do have a high priest, our high priest, who is seated at the right hand of the throne of the majesty in heaven, and who serves in the sanctuary, the true tabernacle set up by the Lord, not by man. Yahweh's tabernacle was set up by Moses. Yahweh's tabernacle was set up by man. That's the truth. But what is he saying here? The summary of everything we are saying. We have a high priest. Jesus now, that's our high priest. It says we have a high priest who is seated at the right hand of the Father in heaven. He's a ghost. He's not a man. He's been here. He's seen how men are living. What does it say in the book of Psalms? It says he sent his word and healed them. He sent his word and healed them. But what does Yahweh say to Isaiah? Go and tell these people, be ever hearing, never understanding. Let's read that. Isaiah chapter 6. Like I said, if you want to see Yahweh's majesty, and all his pompousness and all the rubbish, I don't even know if that's a word. You'll see it there in Isaiah chapter 6. But what does he say? I don't need to read all that. I don't have time for that. He says, so let's read from verse 8. He says, then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send and who will go for us? And I said, here am I sent. You know that? I've even heard some preachers say that, oh, this is Jesus saying, send me. Complete rubbish. Absolute nonsense. So anyway, let's read. Isaiah says, here I am, send me. And Yahweh says, go and tell these people. Which people? Humans. Be ever hearing. Ever hearing what? The word. When it says the prophecy from the book of Psalms, where he says he sent his word and healed them. Wait, but let's read. Here it says, be ever hearing but never understanding. Be ever seeing but never perceiving. It says, make the heart of these people callous. It says, make their ears dull, close their eyes, otherwise they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn and be healed. That's what Yahweh says. This is a curse. He puts a curse on mankind. And that curse is still on the preachers today. So they cannot see. Their eyes are closed. Their ears are closed. Their hearts are closed. They cannot see. They read, but they don't understand. Yahweh's curse is on them. It's active on them. Let's see what Jesus now says on his own. He says the knowledge, Matthew chapter 13, verse 11. He says the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. What we speak, let me tell you, what we speak today, this gospel that we preach, okay, the knowledge of it, it is a secret. It is a secret. It is a mystery. And that's why they do not know it. The knowledge of it has been given to us, but it has not been given to them. That's the truth. It says the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. He says whoever has knowledge will be given more, and he will have an abundance. He says whoever does not have knowledge, even what he has will be taken from him. He said this is why I speak to them in parables. Then he quotes Isaiah, Yahweh's curse. Jesus now quotes it. He says this is the reason why I talk to them in parables. He said because see, though seeing they do not see, though hearing they do not hear or understand. He says in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. He says again, you will be ever hearing. He repeats Isaiah's curse. And he's telling the disciples, this is why they don't understand. I'm telling you, the secrets of the knowledge has been given to you, but not to them. Because that curse is on them. He says, you'll be ever hearing, never understanding. You'll be ever seeing, never perceiving. He says, for these people's heart has become callous. He says, they hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, and I will heal them. It is written, but they are blind, they cannot see. He said, otherwise they might see and hear and turn, and I will heal them. What does Paul say? Paul in the book of Ephesians, he says, the God of this world has blinded the minds of those who cannot see. He says, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ will shine upon them. The God of this world, who? Yahweh, he has blinded the minds of those. That's what's going on. This is the deception of Yahweh. That is the truth. This is exactly what's going on in the world today. You see pastors, you see preachers, they carry all these big titles, apostle, evangelist, and all of that. You see them preaching rubbish, teaching Yahweh in the churches. And then it's them, they are the ones who come to the comment section to start talking rubbish, to insult me. I don't even, like I said, I don't approve that. I don't need that rubbish around me. So once I see such a comment, I just delete it. I don't waste my time. If you want to have a conversation, we can have a conversation. That I'm fine with. But don't come to me trying to lecture me, or you want to come and try to insult me or tell me that I'm wrong. What do you mean I'm wrong? Okay, fine. Then you explain to me. Explain to me who is Melchizedek. Explain to me, is God one individual? You tell me, because that's what they've been taught by Yahweh. Those false doctrines. That's what they've been taught. And that's the rubbish that they keep teaching people. You know? And people go to church every Sunday and they clap. They don't know. They are wasting their time because they don't know the truth. But thank God I'm not the judge. It is Christ who's going to judge everyone. So he knows the standard by which he will be judged. But Paul says something. I was going to read it, but no need. Paul says something, okay? He says, let every man be careful how he builds. No other foundation can be laid other than Jesus. So we are all preaching Jesus, yes. He says, but if every man's work will be tried. He says, some as gold, some as silver, some as wood, hay, straw. If your work is burnt up, says you will be saved, but you will lose your reward. Why will you be saved? Because you have the Holy Ghost. But what you were teaching people was rubbish. So they lose their reward. But they'll be saved. They lose their reward. These are those that when they leave here at the resurrection, they are subject to the angels. They are meant to rule over the angels, but the angels will instruct them on what to do. I don't want to be that kind of people. No. Me, I'm aiming for a crown. That's what I'm aiming for. So by the time I leave here, I can tell the Lord, I did what you asked me to do. And I am glad I did it. You know? So anyway, you guys, I just thought I'll leave you guys with all of this, and then we'll come back again soon, okay? And like I said, kindly follow us on the Patreon, okay? Because like I said, there are some videos I'm going to do that will not be on YouTube. That's true. And then, of course, why? Because I'm trying to prepare myself for the future, because I don't know what's going to happen. One day, YouTube might just wake up and then they are crazy, okay? So that's the thing. So what am I trying to tell you guys? See, stand in your faith. Don't let anybody take your faith away from you. And don't let Yahweh come and put a price on you. No, don't. Your soul is worth more than anything in this world. You are much more important. If you knew the glory that awaits beyond this world, you will be amazed, I'm telling you. But the only time that you will actually start to understand that glory is when you start to use your command. I'm telling you, see, when you start to command spirits in this realm, that's when you start to understand who you are in Christ. That's when you start to appreciate, okay, the faith that you have. We've not been called. See, if in this world only we have hope, then of all men we are the most miserable set of people. We who believe. If everything we are saying is just for this world only, not beyond this place, then of all humans we are the most miserable. Why? Because we've given up a lot to stick to this word. We've given up a lot, okay, to walk this path. So if everything that we are doing ends when we leave this world, then we are the most miserable set of people. But we've known the truth. Why? Because we've exercised this power. We've exercised it. We've seen it. We've seen its effect. We've seen the authority that we have over the spirits. And like I said, I don't want to leave this world. And then when I leave this world and I go, then I'm subject to an angel. No. When it says that it is not to the angels that he has subjected the world about which we are speaking. It is not to angels that God has subjected heaven. Let's read it. I was going to stop the video. I don't know why I'm still talking. That's in the book of Hebrews. Let's read in Hebrews chapter 2. Let's read it. Where is that? Hebrews chapter 2. Verse 5. It says, it is not to angels that he has subjected the world about which we are speaking. That's the truth. It's not to angels, no, that God has subjected. It is to men. And it started with Christ. It's beautiful. It says, yet at present we do not see everything subject to him, but we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than angels. That's because he was a human once. So he was a little lower than angel when he was here. He said, now we see him crowned with glory and honor because he suffered death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. And now that he is there, he is the head, we are the body. His very same authority. Jesus says, I give you authority. His very same authority, that's what we have. When you start to command the spirits and you start to see the effect of the power that you have, that is when you will know who you are in Christ. That is when you will know. When you leave this world, you will understand it. But we'll see, now, Paul says, now we see darkly like through a glass. He says, but when we leave here, we will see everything clearly. So that's that. I just thought I'll leave you guys with this word. So you take care, and I'll come back to you guys again soon, okay? Ciao. God bless you, and I'll see you. Yeah.